Here's Brody Brazil.
I'm pretty sure there's precisely nobody out there who can say they saw this coming. This is so unprecedented, so unexpected. The Philadelphia 76ers arena situation, it was already unique. They were a team moving away from the Philadelphia sports complex, so to speak. They wanted to go downtown. They found a site. They were going to pay for 76th Place privately, all by themselves, which again, in this day and age, is rare. But now we get to even more rare territory. The team, after getting all the necessary approvals and the back and forth and all the controversy that came with it, about a month removed from that, here we are, and the team is reportedly backing out of this entirely. It was greenlit, and now the team is saying this thing is off the table, which apparently they have the right to do. There was no binding agreement with this. There was some other negotiations. They might have moved to Camden, New Jersey. That was a different site, but apparently they're going to stay at that sports complex south of downtown Philadelphia. More on that in a second, but here's what was already approved. A $1.5 billion arena called 76th Place. Again, privately financed in the Market East location. And the location itself came with some controversy. There was also a lot of back and forth about community benefits. We'll get into that in just a second. This was approved on December 4th by a committee. A final vote passed this just about a week or so before Christmas on December 19th. So done, right, in terms of local government, and it didn't need many approvals because it was being privately financed, but it got the okay to move ahead. It was all in the hands of the 76ers. Now, there was significant opposition because of the disturbance to Chinatown, the ingress and egress, and the traffic situation, and the lack of a benefits package that was agreeable to the local community, also transportation concerns. So there was a lot of opposition to this being approved, but it eventually got approved. And this arena was set to be open by 2031 when the Sixers lease at the current Wells Fargo Center expired. Now, the community benefits was a sticking point. The team's original offer was $50 million. The city came back and said, well, how about $100 million? And the agreement, the final agreement, was actually made at $60 million over 30 years, and the city was going to chip in an additional $20 million for affordable housing. Some groups and some members of the City Council of Philadelphia, they wanted anywhere between $165 to $300 million in grants. Not loans, they wanted grants as part of this deal. But again, there's a huge difference between the $50 million offer by the team and the $300 million request by members of City Council. Anyway, they agreed at about $60 million. The council members that voted against this, they were not happy when this passed ultimately. Council members Landau and Gauthier said this, quote, City Council proposed a strong $100 million community benefits agreement with extensive anti-displacement measures created with input from community leaders. It is deplorable to learn that the 76ers and their billionaire owners think our communities are worth only $60 million over 30 years. Yeah, that's about $2 million a year. They recently gave a single athlete $193 million over 3 years. True story. There's also a group called No Arena Coalition. You can imagine how they felt when this passed. Quote, it was shocking to see council leadership declare a bottom dollar figure of $100 million and completely capitulate to pressure less than 12 hours later. We have wasted months of time and countless hours of hearings for barely any change in a deal that was written by the developers more than 2 years ago. It's an embarrassing indication of the lack of strategic and tactical skills from a largely rookie council who got played. And so the 76ers were bound to build this against some opposition and against not everybody feeling perfect about this. The team got what they wanted, and some members of the council who voted yes on this were planning to get what they wanted to get out of this deal, the benefits, the development of this neighborhood. And then all of a sudden, this past weekend, a report by the Philadelphia Inquirer, which was then confirmed by several other sources. I'm reading to you here from the Associated Press, which said the Philadelphia Inquirer reported Sunday that multiple council members had confirmed the change in plans. The team has struck a deal with Comcast Spectacor to remain in the city's sports stadium district, which I'll show you in just a second, the newspaper said. But further details about the new proposal have not been released. Here's some reaction from Jimmy Harity, who voted for this. He said, quote, I'm so livid right now, I don't even know what to do. Jimmy Harity, an at-large member of the council, told the newspaper. Harity, who supported the team's move, said, quote, "I feel as though I was used as a pawn," end quote. And so, why was this deal approved? Why did they push this forward? Why did they make this happen only to strike a deal about a month later with somebody else in a totally different location? Bleacher Report now says this as well, quote, "The commissioner of the NBA, Adam Silver, was involved in it, and the commitment to Market Street redevelopment is still there." That's from Ryan Boyer. He's the head of the Philadelphia Building and Construction Trades Council. He told that to the Philadelphia Inquirer. He said, quote, "We think that overall it'll just be good for the city. It's just a pivot," end quote. Yeah, but it's a huge pivot. I mean, all these plans and the renderings and the multiple years of time and planning and tens and probably hundreds of thousands of dollars, if not up into the million range of what it costs to plan all this, and then just walk away? Here's two journalists, Ernest Owens on Twitter, saying, "Sources are telling me that NBA Commissioner Adam Silver, NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell, and Comcast President Brian Roberts have talked the Sixers into staying in South Philly at their complex." Now, we knew that the NBA Commissioner was involved, and we'll talk more about this in a second, but the NFL involved in this, and obviously Comcast President, Comcast Spectacor, they had some involvement in this because now they're partners with the new arena situation. But it took multiple entities to reach out to the Sixers and change their mind. John Clark of NBC Sports Philadelphia says this: "The Sixers and Comcast Spectacor Flyers, that's the collaboration of companies that own the Wells Fargo Center, would be 50-50 partners on a new arena in South Philly," a source familiar with the situation tells me. The Sixers and Comcast Spectacor will also work together on a revitalization project for Market East. That's where they were going to build 76 Place, he says, according to a source. So they're still planning to do something there, just not the arena. And of course they're planning to do something there because that's real estate, that's revenue. Let me give you the lay of the land here just to set all this straight. If you've never been to Philadelphia, that's closer to downtown, right? That's the hub of the city. And that's the Market East neighborhood. Right there where the arrow is pointing, that's where they wanted to build this new arena, which is kind of a hike away from where the sports stadium complex is now. When I say that, it's a really cool setup in Philadelphia because you've got the Eagles Stadium, you've got the Phillies Stadium, and you've got the Flyers and Sixers arena, their one arena, Wells Fargo Center, all in one location. They're all right next to each other, kind of on corners. And there used to be the Spectrum. The Philadelphia Spectrum used to be there. That was another old arena that got torn down. So now my question is, are they going to build just a fourth venue on this site? I mean, you'd think they have room for it. Are they going to have the Flyers have their own arena? They keep the old one and the Sixers get a new one? Is that the plan, or are they going to continue to share? Because I thought that was the reason why the Sixers wanted out, is because they wanted their own space for scheduling and whatnot. But anyway, goes to show you it is kind of a perfect sports situation in Philly, and the Sixers were about to go away from that. In fact, the Sixers, as I told you before, they even entertained possibly moving across the river over to Camden, New Jersey, but that fell apart as well too. So where do we even begin with takeaways on this one? I mean, they got it all approved. The 76ers went through the hoops and through the fire and through stress and through tribulations and putting their name out there and being opposed. They put themselves and they put a lot of people through a lot. And a month later, they just back out? And they have it all lined up of what they're going to do next. It's not like they're backing out to nothing. But I mean, was that old deal a play to get to this new deal? Is that literally what we're witnessing here? And some recent revelations had came out that the state of Pennsylvania was not going to contribute any kind of funding towards this. Now, the team said they were going to pay for the arena, but think about infrastructure, think about transit, think about train stations. There's a lot of other things that necessitate public funding, the stuff surrounding this development. And apparently because the state was not in to pay for anything, maybe the team got a little hesitant about that. But obviously, and we're apparently about to find out on Monday, I think it's 11 Eastern is the press conference, but there must have been this better offer by the Flyers and Comcast Spectacor to build another building, right? That has to be as simple as that. I don't know why the Sixers would go to a worse deal, right? It has to be a better deal But how come this wasn't discussed 6 months ago, 3 months ago, 6 weeks ago? It's just amazing how this has come up, and now the Sixers are totally backing away from a deal. It's interesting also to have other teams, and whether the Eagles and whether the Phillies were involved, in their influence and different league influences on this situation, right? This is the Sixers who are bound to do whatever they want. They get to make their own decisions. They get to call their own shots. But it's interesting to see that other teams were influential in this decision-making process. What would the NFL really care if the Sixers were going to move away from that complex? Is that a bad thing for the NFL? Does it even matter to the NFL? Why would Roger Goodell be part of this? Right? So there's got to be something deeper, and we don't know all the details. We literally know nothing about this new arena situation or the plans. Like I said, is it a replacement for the Wells Fargo Center? Is it an additional arena for this complex and this site? We don't know that yet, but interesting to see all these other respective parties jump in, be part of the conversation, and then the team has a total 180 on their feelings and what they're going to do. So, 76th place, talked about it a lot in the last couple months here on this channel, and now we will not be talking about it anymore, despite all the opposition. And there's a lot of people who are happy. Some residents of Chinatown and Market East and the No Arena Coalition and the council members who were against this, they're happy now. But there's also a lot of 76ers fans who are confused because it's like, you dangled this, and this was what you were all about, and you were literally full steam ahead towards this. And then once it got approved, you did the hard part. You turned around and said, we're actually not doing this anymore. And maybe some Philadelphia fans are totally fine or happy about that. Maybe some are just flat out confused, kind of like I am too. That's the end of this video. Appreciate you sticking around. Thumbs up down below greatly helps me and this channel and this video specifically. By the way, one more favor I'd like to ask of you. Go down there and make sure you're already subscribed to this channel before this video ends. That way I definitely get to see you back here next time.